The MedBricks webcast is focused on bringing distinguished Indians and others from diverse fields of science, medicine, technology, and philosophy to learn from each other and to create a new understandings and foster new ideas related to healthcare.
Hello, everyone. So I just want to let you know that I'm Jennifer Niemeyer with DailyWearForMedicine.com. And we are a next generation health media company. We're on 8 platforms. Tonight, I'd like to introduce 2 really exciting people. So it's my pleasure to introduce Ramana Anam. He is the author of our ebook, which is Science is Not a Style. He has a master's in physics and has studied nuclear engineering and computer science. He's got in the healthcare field. Our distinguished guest speaker tonight is a well-known Silicon Valley attorney, and as our guest, Roger Royce. He will be talking about legal framework for startups in Silicon Valley, and I'm going to turn it over to Ramana, and he's going to take over.
Okay. Hello, thank you, Jennifer. Really appreciate it. So actually, I'm a good friend of Roger. Roger, I know him from Silicon Valley. Roger is a veteran senior attorney in Ains and Boone and LLP. He's a healthcare. He's a startup attorney. I met him a long time ago when he was doing the series of talks in different accelerators. So I met him there. He's a very excellent, accessible, and he gives a great advice. I think I'll let present today topic is going to do is how the startup scene in Silicon Valley. He is the middle of the Silicon Valley. He's in Palo Alto. So I'll let you introduce. So I'll let you take over by Roger. Let me bring him to the scene. And Roger, that's you.
Okay, well, thanks very much. Thank you for having me here, Ramana. I'm going to spend, maybe 10 minutes talking a little bit about Silicon Valley startups. I know it's not entirely consistent with the theme of your program, but there certainly is always a lot of interest in it, and especially given the large health tech community that we have here. So my name is Roger Royce. I'm a partner with the AmLaw 100 law firm of Haynes and Boone. We're a full-service law firm. I work in Palo Alto, California. That's the heart of the Silicon Valley, Palo Alto. I do emerging growth and venture capital. So I work primarily with tech startups, formation, financings, mergers and acquisitions, everything from start to finish in a variety of technologies, agriculture technology, energy technology, fintech, and of course, health techs. So I do have a few slides for you. So Ramana, if you want to put those up, we can walk through a few of the things I'm going to talk about. That's me. And that's my information. If you're tweeting, my handle is rroyce00, or rroyce with an S. And why don't we go to the first slide, which would be the next slide on your deck. Just a disclaimer, we can skip that. So here in the Valley, I'm going to talk about just briefly, three things. I've been doing startups for almost 40 years. And one of the things that I always say is that, a startup is really three things. It's people, it's technology, and it's money. And just when you get those three things to align, then you have the opportunity to make something really big. Why don't we move on to the next slide? And when we talk about people, there's my slide. I call it the Silicon Valley Triangle. You get the founders and the service providers and the investors, and the service providers, of course, are providing the technology. Next slide, please. So when we talk about people, we start with the founders, and I do long presentations on all the legal aspects. In fact, if you're really interested, I have a book that just came out this month called 10,000 Startups, Legal Strategies for Startup Success, that goes into all of these things in great detail. Feel free to email me if you'd like a digital copy. But we start with the founders, and this valley was built on equity compensation. It was built on sweat equity. And that's the idea that founders typically put very little money into a company, but they take back equity and then they work really hard to make that equity worth something. And of course, all of these words that you're seeing on the screen here are just mechanisms that we use to attract and retain good people and to keep them in the company until we can have a successful exit. Next slide, please. In addition to founders, we need a lot of other people to help out with the company. And that includes consultants, includes employees, it includes technical people, it includes advisors. And the really good companies around here, they will get advisors. For example, a medical tech company, they should have medical people advising them. Somebody that's got domain expertise potentially. Maybe somebody that has a lot of contacts in the industry and can secure sources of revenue. Maybe somebody that has inroads towards financing. And again, we'll put in place agreements. These people are rewarded in equity. That's always how it works. And we put strings to we attach strings to the equity to make sure that they stick around and hit their milestones and earn their keep. So founders and advisors primarily. Next slide, please. As I said, the second prong in my triangle is really technology. Now, technology, of course, is just the know-how and the design, etc. It might be software, it might be a process, it might be something that's protectable. As a lawyer, I'm not so much concerned about the technology as I am about protecting it. And to protect that technology and allow a company that monopoly in exploiting it long enough to get in and dominate their market, we need legal protection, and that's intellectual property protection. And it really breaks down, there's more categories in this, but these are the four main ones: trademark, copyright, patent, and trade secret. Next slide, please. With my clients, which are almost always technology startups, I guess we can go back a slide. I thought I had more tech slides. They are almost always very heavily reliant on trade secret. Hopefully we can get patents. A patent is a federal registration. It's a federal monopoly. It's a federal right. And they're geographic in scope. Each country has their own patent laws that gives that company a monopoly to exercise its invention and without fear that somebody else is going to come up with the same invention and compete with them in the market. And if we didn't have that, there would not be as much incentive for them to go ahead and improve that. That's a federal registration. It's publicly available and everybody can see it. A lot of my clients have that. Patents are important, no doubt about it. They all have trade secret though. And trade secrets are probably more valuable, but far more fragile. A trade secret is something that's not patented for whatever reason. It's a process, a design, a way of doing something. Could be a customer list, could be data, something like that. That's three things. It's secret, it's valuable, and the company and the owner of the trade secret has taken reasonable steps to protect it, to keep it secret. And that's where I come in. I help those companies make sure they keep it secret. And you see companies lose all their value because they let their trade secrets slip out sometimes. And we need to keep that from happening because they're so valuable. And then the third thing, of course, is trademark. Just imagine you build up a huge brand. And the companies I work with, it's technology and it's brand. And sometimes the technology is pretty easily replicable, let's be honest. Sometimes it is. But that brand is what's really valuable. The fact that they've got so much goodwill, they've got so much market recognition, they've got people coming back to them again and again. In fact, usually in my neighborhood, the kinds of companies that I work with that goes out for venture capital that we're going to talk about in a minute, they really don't want revenue. They want a lot of customers. They'll worry about, or not, of course they'd like revenue, but not so much net earnings, but a lot of customers. That's the freemium model. And they'll worry about having a net income when they go public. But for now, they're really trying to build their brand and build their customers. Well, that is inextricably linked to trademark. It's their logo, it's their name, it's their design in the market. And that is something that we need to be careful about protecting so that they don't lose that as well. Next slide. So first prong is people, right? We've got legal ways of attracting and retaining people. Second prong is intellectual property. And the third prong is, like I said, is money. And the holy grail, where I am in Silicon Valley, is venture capital. And we are in a big market. That, by the way, is a picture of a venture capitalist, in case you were wondering. Next slide, please.
Mhm.
And we are in a really big market for venture capital right now. VC funding was at a record high. 2020 was a record high, and 2021 was almost twice as much. There's a tremendous amount of venture out in the market now. $330 billion in 2021. And it's you can see the data. It's a tremendous amount of money and a lot of what we call dry powder. That means uninvested capital, just looking for opportunities. And that's where I come in. I help these companies. Those are national statistics. Next slide, please. Here in Silicon Valley, where I practice, things are just as good. Close to $100 billion in 2021 in venture capital. It wasn't so long ago. Not very long ago at all, that was a national number. Now it's just a San Francisco Bay Area number, and it's a big source of funding. And of course, companies really want to get to the venture capitalists. That's where they can really scale. That's where you get the big money to take your idea and get out into the market and gather users and really build out what you're doing. Next slide, please. So I just want to say a couple things about venture capital, because lately I give hours and hours of presentations. You can find them on my personal YouTube channel, Roger Royce Law. You will find hundreds of hours of in-depth discussion about venture capital investing, about startups, startup formation, intellectual property, corporate law, tax law, anything related to startups. But one thing I want to talk about here, I just want to mention, is the concept of ESG, right? Environmental, social, and governance. And it's never been more important than it is now. Everybody is talking about this. Everybody is very sensitive to this. And it's not only public companies. This has drifted down into startup land. So even the investors, when they look at startup companies, they want to know that that company has got really good ESG. And most of it's on the E side of that, the environmental for sure. But there's also a lot of concern about social and a lot of concern about good governance. And again, I'm sure Ramana will share these slides with you if you want to see more what that means. But generally, you can see there are negative screens. The company is not, detracting from society by engaging in things that are harmful. And then there are the positive things. For example, what are they doing to make society a little better place? And the factors that are considered, the biggest one that we hear about these days, of course, is carbon footprint. But there are a lot of other things. And good governance is one of them. So, for example, understanding who your investors are, etc., making sure you've got good policies in your workplace that ensure that you're fair to your employees, etc. So I just want to pause on that because that's just becoming more and more dominant. Next slide, please. And then finally, if everything goes well, our company has had a really good start. You read my book. You've got good people. You've got good technology. You've gotten the right financial partner on board. You've raised some money. You've gone out into the market. You've changed the world with your product, which is what people want to do in this area. Then we come to an exit. And the exit is usually an M&A. Although these days we're seeing something called a SPAC deal or a de-SPAC deal. It's like a little mini reverse merger into a public shell. It's a way for a startup to go public. But in any event, at that point, the founders cash out and they have their big exit. They take their winnings and then they go off and start another company and they call me again to help them with that. Next slide, please. It should be my last slide if I remember right. I'm Roger Royce. I'm with Haynes & Boone in Palo Alto. You can find me on the internet. That's Roger Royce, R-O-Y-S-E. There's a little description of our offices. Thank you for having me here today, Ramana.
Thank you, Roger. I have a couple of questions for you, quick. So the media, healthcare media channel is focusing towards actually our target audience are mostly doctors and medical students who are already familiar with the medical field, healthcare field. They understand medicine very well. A lot of new. What they are missing is the innovation part of it that, from their side. Most of them are they think Silicon Valley is taking over, and they are left off from the Silicon Valley innovation cycle. So their concern is mostly technology, their secret, their trade secret, their patents. That is more important for them. So what do you? So can you give us a little bit about that
We
concern?
absolutely can. Precision medicine and digital health is a big part of our practice. And I can tell you, we've seen just enormous gains over the last couple of years, probably because of COVID, telemedicine like never before, a whole new ways to get healthcare, many different types of service providers. And this is a wave, and you can either ride that wave or get buried by it, but nothing's going to stop it. And what we've seen this in every other industry in the world is that it becomes a technology enabled industry. And I think the same is true of medicine. The technology is growing very quickly. And it's not just digital. I work with VCs who do nothing but invest in biotech, in medical devices, and maybe in some of them are focused just in data solutions. And I can tell you to listen to them talk. They say in the next 10 years, we have an enormous number of new technologies that are just about to come online and are all going to hit within a few years of each other. And we're going to see an enormous revolution in healthcare. And it's going to be startup based and it's going to be venture backed because I'm seeing it already. Even now, I have people walk into my office with just incredible ideas, just incredible things that they're working on and able to do. Just therapies, longevity, boy, that is a big one. And you're going to see enormous advances in the next 10 years in longevity. And it's all going to be very much technology based. So I think for your audience, it's in a way, it's a challenging time because the world's going to change so quickly. I already can see that. But it's a time full of opportunities because who better to understand that world than somebody with a medical background? And really, if you decide to get into the startup game, everyone in Silicon Valley has a side hustle. Everybody takes something new that they found in their business and they turn it into, it's a local problem and a global solution, and they turn it into a big company. Find yourself a good technology person and team up and form a company. But you got to have the tech co-founder. I'll just warn you right now. You got to have that technical co-founder, and you need a domain expertise co-founder too. I think is the winning formula.
So could you please give me your email? I will put in this one. What is your email, Roger?
Yeah. So my name is spelled with an S, not a C. So it's Roger Royce, Royce.
Yeah.
And if you Google me, you'll find me. My email is roger.royce with an S at haynesboone.com.
Yes. Haynesboone. I'm okay. Haynesboone. Tell me if I did it wrong. I want to show it to.
There you go. Thank you.
You can see it?
Yes, I can see my name.
Yeah.
No, you got it wrong. You got it. Now you got it right.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, Roger Royce. It is not letting me do the email address part of it.
Well, if you Google me, I'll come up. I'm not hiding.
Yeah, Roger Royce. I'll send it to. I will put on at the end. We will put a slide there. Actually, that's a good idea. I'll put it. Thank you. So one of the things is last question I have is, if the doctors want to do, they understand the healthcare medical field. So if they want to start the healthcare, they want to collaborate with the technology. The first thing is they need to talk about IP. They have enough seed capital. They don't need to worry about right now at this beginning stages. But they could contact you and talk about the steps that is required for their progress, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But like I say, it's three things. It's people. You got to have the right agreements in place to keep everybody together. Nothing will kill a company faster than a founder dispute. So you want to have good, solid understandings going into a deal. Secondly is intellectual property. right? We need to protect what you have so someone else doesn't take it away. And then thirdly, of course, you need to be in a position where you can attract investment so you can scale.
So can you show your book, Roger? And the last one, if you can show your book, that would be good. Yeah. 10,000 Startups by
Yep.
Roger Royce, attorney from Silicon Valley. Thank you so much, Roger. We appreciate your time, and it's a really great counsel for us, all of us. You have anything, Jennifer, you want to say anything? Or we bring Jennifer there? Yeah.
Thank you, Roger. Truly appreciate it. Interested in your book, 10,000 Startups, Legal Strategies for Startup Success. And they can find you on social media. You do all kinds of events all during the week and very informative. You said as a Roger Roy Law on YouTube, and want to share that, and we'll put on our side so everyone can find you. Thank you very much for taking your time tonight to share with us really important information, and especially going into the future with technology and ideas and people collaborating. So thank you very much, Roger. Really appreciate it.
Roger, if you want to stay around here, maybe at the end of the minute, we're going to talk about anti-aging, how that is related to entropy. We're going to talk about it. If you're interested, you're welcome to stay, and then you can say a couple of words at the end.
Okay.
So,
okay, great. All right. I'll look forward to it.
I'm going to. So, thank you all. I'm going. This is the topic for the entropy, evil in science and medicine. You have to understand why it is important. So watch the video, this introductory video that will give you some idea about the entropy and how it plays.
Hello, my name is Ramana Annamaraju. I'm going to introduce you to one of the most enigmatic and elusive concepts in the entire field of science from my book, Science is Not a Subject, Science Must Be a Lifestyle. The concept is called entropy. I'm focusing on one aspect of entropy related to information and its connection with the present-day healthcare challenges. Entropy is like a ghost, but it is a mean one. You don't see it, you cannot talk to it, it never leaves you, it threatens your job, it tries to destroy your health, it affects your performance, it follows you wherever you go and whatever you do. You feel and see only its destruction. It is not your competitor you need to worry. You need to worry about this elusive ghost. It is your enemy number one. Please pay attention. It makes a difference in your career, in your job, and your duties. If you are a policymaker, you have to understand the impact of money and the economy of your citizens. If you are the CEO of a healthcare system, you have to be concerned about access and equity for all your members. And if you are a software engineer, you need to analyze simplicity versus complexity with your user experience design. As I mentioned before, entropy is your number one enemy. It is true what they say, know your enemy first, then you can come up with a strategy to deal with it. We need to start with the question how much you know and how much you don't know about a system you're working on. This is not some philosophical or a new age question. You have to quantify with the numbers. It is a scientific question to the core. The answer is not that easy. Fortunately, there was a guy smarter than all of us, gave a stunning insight. His name is Ludwig Boltzmann, an Austrian physicist, lived in the latter part of 1800s, came up with a statistical formula for known versus unknown. It is not just a formula, it is a law, second law of thermodynamics. In urban slang, we call it as a law of entropy. The law is not limited to known versus unknown, it is present everywhere, materials and processes and even life itself. Entropy is a true measure of your ignorance of a system. You may say, I don't know a lot of things, but I know what I know, and what I don't know, I don't know. This statement may seem right before you know about the law of entropy. The law of entropy says the unknown does not sit idle. It is constantly attacking your known systems. Entropy wants you to become ignorant and leaves you in constant confusion. It creates a chaos, your understanding of any system dwindling every day by law of entropy. Only way out is to fight it. Entropy is a tough concept to comprehend. I will do my best here with a simple example. You see a picture of a teacup with the 2 sugar cubes in the bottom, and the top teacup is mixed with the sugar. Adding 2 cubes of sugar makes you happier, but your happiness does not come for free. I know sugar prices are going up. Still worse, the law of entropy says your ignorance is also going up. You have known knowledge that there are 2 sugar cubes. Since you know something makes the bottom cup low entropy state. Now, when you mix the sugar, you turn the simple system into a complex system. Even if I ask you, you cannot get sugar cubes back. Sugar is melted away and you lost all the information about the sugar cubes. The irreversibility of the process increases the state of entropy. In a split second, you made the top cup in a higher entropy state. Known system became an unknown. Just it applies to a teacup. This irreversibility is evident everywhere and everything you do. A simple realization that if you create a process for your company with some data variables, the complexity slowly seeps in. It means you lost control of your process and the information becomes chaotic. But if you keep tabs on what it takes to reverse the process to the initial state, it saves you time, money, and energy. You are keeping the ghost of entropy at bay. Life itself is a low entropy system. Zoom in or zoom out, your cells to your entire body do hand-to-hand combat with the law of entropy to keep you healthy and alive. Your number one enemy is waiting at outskirts of your life and your company. Boltzmann revealed this book of knowledge and wisdom about the universe with his famous equation. He could not convince his peers about his theory. Later, Boltzmann committed suicide, and his famous formula was written on his tombstone. Devil also, like numbers. Chaos may be its nickname, but it is speaking the nature's language, that is mathematics. Cancer is cellular chaos. There is no diagnostic equipment can measure the exact progression, but with the entropy algorithms, you can extract patterns from seemingly chaotic information. One such algorithm came from an unrelated field, football. Yes, game of soccer. Soccer fanatics wanted to know who is going to win the World Cup that is being held every 4 years. The fans include a number of scientists. They created an algorithm called World Cup Optimization Algorithm. I don't know how much it is useful in predicting the World Cup winner, but it is helping to detect and predict the progression of cancer. They are testing with the cancer of melanoma and breast cancer. Boltzmann gave the formula for entropy, but a brilliant mathematician and engineer at the Bell Labs, which became AT&T now, gave a different twist to the concept of entropy. His name is Claude Elwood Shannon. The theory bears his name. It is called a Shannon entropy. According to Shannon, the information is central to all processes.
Which I think he's very widely known for, is this notion of a fundamental limit. No matter what you do, as long as you're working with a certain amount of bandwidth, and as long as you're dealing with signals that are only so strong in the face of noise that you confront, no matter what you do, you cannot transmit more than a certain rate.
Today, here is one remarkable example how you can employ Shannon entropy to healthcare equity and access. The world of medicine made a huge progress in diagnostics and treatments, but healthcare delivery systems are not. A significant number of people on the planet don't see those benefits. Health inequities you can witness in rural and urban America's landscape, and worse, everywhere else. Health delivery system is riddled with complexities. It may be partially political, but it is also filled with logistical complexities. Variants like remote geography, disease burden, and economic backgrounds, to name a few. Where there is a complexity, law of entropy shines. Shannon entropy is successfully utilized by countries like Iran, Turkey, and Greece to address the inequities in healthcare delivery by allocating and utilizing existing resources more efficiently. Truly a remarkable tribute to human mind how an obscure 18th century physicist from Austria and 21st century brilliant mathematician from MIT can help humanity by discovering the hidden laws of nature. Thank you for listening. You can read in my book further. Science is not a subject, science must be a lifestyle.
Quick, just Roger he was talking about the, the Roger was talking about longevity. So the entropy is, I'll give you some examples about how the longevity and entropy are connected. You will know a little bit about it. So I'm going to give you some examples of that. So this is you saw that actually in Iran, thing very strange about Iran is that guy is Ayatollah Khomeini from Iran. He is Elwood Shannon from MIT professor in the Bell Labs. So they are entirely different ideologies, but they agreed upon one thing is entropy of the using the Shannon entropy in Iran to give the access to the healthcare access. All the resources are properly utilized by all the populations. There is a province called Kermanshah province. It is a very rich people, middle class, poor, very poor. They all exist in a very short, small geographical area. So how do you distribute the resources and they allocate all the resources, the healthcare resources? So there's a complexity involved. When there is a complexity, entropy does very good. So they use the Shannon entropy mathematics to distribute, to allocate the resources. That is a So what is entropy? Entropy is order versus disorder in the law. Looks simple, but it is a very complex subject inside. It is also, you can apply here, understanding versus confusion. So order progresses to disorder. Understanding always they don't stay as it is. Either understanding, eventually the confusion takes over the understanding. So both of them are entropy says, law of entropy says, they never sit idle. Chaos and order, the disorder will always take over the processes. So I'll give you one example of it. Information, as you think in general, information is physical. Is not some abstract thing. It is a physical. It exists in time, not in space. The information is a physical itself, and you have to treat them as like such a valuable product. And so it's an exist in time, not in space. What you see in the servers, that is just a place to put in. But the information by itself is an abstract. It's not an abstract. It's a physical concept. To think like that, that makes a very different. So nowadays we are information overload. Chaos information is growing everywhere. It is central to now the biggest challenges for all the healthcare, all the companies are facing. IT companies, million apps, million things. Every day there's a new app is coming up. It is how to keep up this technology is very challenging, right? That is the information chaos that is called. So this is a philosophy of platform. So I can say how the entropy works on the left side, a car screen. You see that screen and the window of the front dashboard, the screen. If you see a crack, it doesn't stay there idle. Eventually it goes bigger and bigger and it destroys the entire glass. So that's the way entropy works. It doesn't sit idle. It just keeps on going, whether you like it or not, it just keeps going. You cannot do anything about it. So what that is, you have to fix it when it is a smaller crack. That is what the entropy says. There is a low entropy state, is a stone soup. There's a story in Three Soldiers. After is a European fable. It says that these soldiers are coming from the war, that in the World War or World War II or World War One somewhere, they're starving. They were starving. They don't have food to eat. They were tired. At the end of the war, so they came to a village, and the village, it says that. So they said that nobody. They went to the one house and said they wanted some soup. They said we don't have any food. They went to the second house. No, we don't have any other food. We don't have ourselves the food. We are barely eating anything. So that's what they said. We have only so then third house they went there. We don't have anything else. So everybody rejected them. They didn't have any food to eat. So they came up with a brilliant idea. What they said that we're going to cook the stone soup. We're going to cook the stones as a soup. So so all the villagers were stunned. How do you make a soup out of stones? They said that okay. So I'm going to show you. Put the nice. They collected some stones. They put in the pot inside, and they said that we want water. They got the water for them, and they said that the in the soup you need, so the stones become a soup if you bring your carrots. Anybody has a carrot, so some come in, oh, I have a carrots, extra carrots, I can bring it. So then the other person went there, oh, I want a parsley, can you bring it? So then they said that, oh, yeah, we have parsley, extra parsley, that's no problem. They brought it. And somebody bought sugar and pepper. Somebody bought the beef. So they made a soup out of it. So they became, the people individually, they don't have soup because they don't have all the ingredients, each house. But these guys made a soup out of it. So that's a low entropy state. What they did was, with the chaotic information, the food is everywhere, all the raw materials are everywhere. They never became a food to eat. So now they made the soup, as everybody thought, oh my God, they made a food, everybody enjoyed it, and it is a tasty, is all now sharing. Not only it explains the sharing part of it, but it explains the entropy state, and low entropy, that is, you are making something available for you to eat. It is a low entropy state. All the things that are in the high entropy state, or all the resources, the raw materials, are the high entropy state. That is, so actually Barbara, her name is Barbara Liskov, that's why the use in software entropy, it is software creates an entropy. If you create in a platform, eventually it destroys you. The small things come and destroys it. That's why the Stanford professor, she retired now, she's 80 years old, Barbara Liskov, is the Liskov principle, substitute principle. It is a kind of a principle. It says that how do you the solid principle. The solid means is not a solid, it is actually simplicity, the open source, and her name is is Liskov, a substitute, and divergence is a principle. Solid principles is basically a platform that you could use to make it the class variants, and I don't want to go into inside. But what it does show that is the creation of the low entropy state for the software. That is, you always keep the entropy when you leave it the software platform by itself. By itself, it becomes a higher entropy state eventually. So it becomes more complex to manage it. So this is another example of why English has become so popular in the world. And why Twitter is so popular, why Elon Musk wants to buy Twitter. There's no Twitter in my language. There's no Twitter in other countries. The reason was, if you read the left side of the doctor has admitted the patient, a lot of people can read it. They may have one question, what is a PNTAT? They may ask you, but basically one question I can comprehend on the left-hand side, the one it is, doctor has admitted the patient. The second one is my language. I speak Telugu, a native language of mine in southern India, that if you miss one letter from that one, hell breaks loose. You do not understand what it is. So it's impossible to have a Twitter for that, because you cannot, even though English is not an efficient language, it does have the low entropy. So I will explain to you why the low entropy state is. So my language is extremely difficult to follow, because if one letter missing is extremely difficult. And if you Aramic, that's a Jewish language, it is actually much worse than one letter missing. That is, you're reading left to right and right to left. It adds a complexity there. So those are all those things. Sorry, let me. One second. I'm trying to put next to. Yeah, just a minute. Okay, now I'm getting there. So the complexity increases with any other language. English has a redundancy. It has a capital letters, full. So in my language, there is no full stop. There is no periods. There is no commas. Some languages don't have commas, like Aramaic. So some of the Hebrew languages don't have commas and all those things. So that can be very complex. So English made it redundancy, with the redundancy, the low entropy state. Actually, Claude Shannon calculated the entropy of the English letter. That's much smaller than any other languages itself. Okay, so if you ask a question, the way to decide how the entropy is higher or lower, you ask questions. Suppose the first one, if I show you, you may ask one question: what is the patient PNTAT? Maybe one question you may ask me. If I show you my language, you will ask 3 questions. What is that word? What is that word? What is that word? You will be asking me 3 questions and more. If I show you Arabic language, that is Jewish language, if you will be asking 50 questions, the entropy goes in higher and higher. That's why a lot of English is taking over the world because of its low entropy state. So the next one is, so this is the Roger Royce is talking about longevity. In the longevity part of it is why we become older. The second law of thermodynamics says that why do we get older, not the other way around. There is a law, universal law, second law of thermodynamics, that's called a law of entropy. As I said, you can make eggs omelette. Omelette cannot become eggs. The reason is the information is difficult to put it back. For example, if I see you and want you to go back to when you were 19 or 20 years old, if I have all the information, entropy is information, you have all the molecules in your face, where the atoms are, where the molecules are, where the cells are. If I have all the information, then I can put it back. But it's impossible because I will not know that the amount of energy required and the time required may surpass the energy required from the universe itself. You may not have enough energy and information that can put together back. But Boltzmann said there's an interesting thing. He said that you can. The universe exists. You were young of your brain when you were as when you were. Your brain is always stays in the universe. That's called Boltzmann brains. That's the scary part. So the Boltzmann exists somewhere. That Boltzmann brains, like exactly you, copy of you exists somewhere. We hope we get access to that. That's young of yourself. That is statistically possible. That's a universal law, second law of thermodynamics. It allows you to the statistical fluctuation, allows you to exist in another dimension in that sense, another place, another part of the universe. You should be able to exist because if you consider universe is infinite, you must exist some other places. But the reason is the reason is challenging is this is the one. This is so what is it stopping people to become why can't they become teenagers again? So this is the life itself is a low entropy state. Life, cells, the low entropy state. Low entropy state means they maintain the order. They don't have the information is clear. Everything is senescent cells are one of the things causes the death. Causes the older, it becomes older because senescent cells they don't divide. They arrest the divisions of the cells. When that creates cancers. So when you cannot divide, the cells won't divide, then it causes the cancer. So what they senescent cells actually sends information to the environment. It says, I am messed up. So they send information. They know that they want the immune system come back and fix it. But the problem with that is the information gets messed up when they're sending the message. That is the problem. That is where we get older. If we understand, if we can get the information, send it properly, the immune system can come back and fix that process. We can go back a little bit older. They say if you are 50 years from now, if you're born 50 years from now, you can be living up to 150 years old. So sorry, we missed it for a while, but that is we missed the boat. But the law of longevity genes are sirtuins, is silent information regulatory. That's epigenetics. He's talking about David Sinclair of Harvard University. He talks about that information is the one is silent information regulator. That's what the name of the epigenome is. So information is the key. It is like a DVD scratches. You cannot read it. That's what it is. What it does. That. But I'm almost done. So I'm going to show you the entropy and the NFT. The entropy also applies to the money. NFT versus fiat money. Fiat money is the currency, the legal tenders, government issues. The NFT is now the Bitcoin and all those NFTs. The entropy says the low entropy NFT is going to be the winner. The reason low entropy is a low entropy state because information is organized. The blockchain organizes information. It's a very clear. Everything is known. In high entropy state, for example, where all the corruptions and all the back end deals, that all happens in the fiat money. The fiat money is just regular money that we see today. That is, so eventually entropy is saying that we are going to the low entropy state is better. NFT is the low entropy state. So that is a better money in the future. That's what the entropy says. So the next one is, so this is the great tribunes that I was telling you. Environment also, why we are doing the environmental thing. When you order from Amazon or e-commerce stores, you think that they come and deliver for you. But every time you do order something, you're creating a chaos in other places, which is that they have the raw materials, the other things they exist, so they create a chaos. You're depleting the resources of the planet, and you think that automatically order does not come for free. It is a disorder. You are paying the price. So it is a Hindu law, for example, or the Lord of Shiva comes at the end of the universe. What happens? The entropy goes bigger and bigger, and eventually it destroys at the end. It dies at the heat death. It's called heat death. So entropy, there will not be any life anymore. There will not be even planets. There will not be any stars. Everything will die at the end. A long way from now, you don't have to worry about. But we Hindus believe that there is a Lord Shiva come the end, and they destroy. He's a hitman for the universe. He destroys the universe, and then Roger Penrose says cyclical universe. Again, universe will be reborn again. But thank you for listening, and I will bring back Jennifer back to sing. She will say a couple of things, and then thank you so much, Jennifer. Back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ramana, for talking to us about evil in science and medicine. It's truly inspirational to listen to all this stuff about entropy. And it so relates to your everyday life, because once you know what that is, you can put it in every almost aspect of what happens in a day. So it's pretty exciting. Ramana is the author of Science is Not a Subject, Science Must Be a Lifestyle. 3-minute stories in there, and we have some swag and merchandise that goes along with that. We have an art design that this is just one of them on one of our med cups, and this is one of the designs that matches a 3-minute story in our book, and then our logo. But most of all, I would like to thank our distinguished guest, Roger Royce. It was very, very awesome to have him. He has a book, and we'll put that information up so that you can reach him. 10,000 Startups, Legal Strategies for Startup Success. Anyway, thank you, Roger Royce, very much for joining us tonight, and I'll turn it back over to Ramana.
Thank you. That's all. Thank you so much.